来开源使能多样性的演讲。
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. What an amazing week. This week at Huawei Connect, we saw so many new announcements about software, a lot of new hardware products, and heard a lot about open source. Today, I'm here to tell you about what's going on in the open source world and how all of you can be a part of it. You know, open source is one of the most successful enablers of innovation in history. It's what powers almost everything we touch digitally every single day. How do I know that? Well, I work at the Linux Foundation. And Linux is one of the most powerful and widely deployed software platforms in the world. Linux is 100% of the world's supercomputers. It runs the vast majority of our smartphones and devices. It's the majority share in enterprise computing, mainframes. Almost every public cloud workload runs on Linux. It is, without question, the most powerful software platform in the world. Linux is developed faster than any technology out there. 10,000 lines of code are added to Linux. About 8,000 lines of code are removed from Linux every single day. And Linux isn't just developed fast. Linux runs on a wide array of computing environments. Linux can adapt from one form of computing to another because it's powered in its development by tens of thousands of different organizations and individuals worldwide. Linux runs on more silicon architectures than any other platform, whether it's x86, ARM, Power, RISC-V, you name it. Linux runs in a huge variety of different computing scenarios, whether it's edge computing, vertical industries, you name it, Linux powers it. And most importantly, Linux is globally developed. Anybody can work on Linux in the open from anywhere on Earth and use Linux for anything they want. And it's not just Linux. A huge variety of open source is powering almost every trend in modern computing. The diversity of different workloads, the heterogeneity of these different technical platforms is really what's defining modern computing. Whether it's in artificial intelligence, with open source projects like PyTorch and TensorFlow, whether it's edge computing and software-defined networking, with open source projects like the Open Network Automation Platform, Open Daylight, and many, many more. Open source software powers autonomous vehicles, artificial reality software, and much, much more. Open source really powers almost every form of software development. And I want to show you just how much open source software is in almost everything you use every single day. You see, today, if you're a software developer, almost everything you use is open source. Somewhere between 80 and 90% of almost every technology, product, and service these days is built using open source software. What developers do is they pick a framework. Maybe some of you like Node.js or Ruby. You build your custom application for your customers. You take some reusable components and you put them together to build your application, and what you get is most of that code is open source, but the most important code, that 10%, the 10% that matters to you and to your customer, comes from inside yourself. All of the rest of it is open source, freely available for all of you to use for anything. What we're seeing at the Linux Foundation is an explosion in a huge variety of open source. More open source software comes into the world every single day than any time in history. In fact, open source is used in some places that may surprise all of you. Recently, the Linux Foundation, working with the Academy of Motion Pictures, Arts and Science in Los Angeles, California, started an open source initiative in an area that hasn't been used to using open source to create the different stories and things that they do. I want to show you a quick video that shows just how powerful open source is becoming.
Every single part of the filmmaking process is touched by software, and a lot of that software is open source software. The Academy Software Foundation exists to provide a great home for open source projects that we as an industry use every day. Whether you are a user of open source software, or an engineer, or a company that relies on open source software, we want to create the right ecosystem for you to get the most out of the open source software that you need to use. Find us at aswf.io and join the mailing list and see how you can get involved.
Pretty amazing. Can you believe that? Open source software is used to create some of the greatest movies today. Star Wars, The Avengers, and others. And guess what? If you want to participate in writing the software that's used to create these wonderful movies, all you have to do is have some skills to develop an imagination and go to the Academy Software Foundation's website today. And you can get involved in writing the software that's used to create the movies. It's an incredible opportunity for anyone, anywhere in the world. At the Linux Foundation, we're not stopping just at open source film software. Our communities are pushing our organization to transform collaboration and open source beyond even software itself. We're seeing a huge amount of collaboration in software with projects like Kubernetes, cloud computing technology, networking technology. But in addition to that, we're seeing amazing new projects in open hardware with things like RISC-V, a new open silicon instruction set. The Open Power Foundation that enables the open collaboration of hardware as well. We're seeing open standards and interoperability specifications open up, be publicly developed and available to everyone. And most importantly, we're seeing with a world of artificial intelligence, new efforts to do open data sharing, to share huge sets of data across different companies, across different individuals, so that we can all get smarter together. And that's the most important thing I would like all of you to remember today. If you remembered nothing else, I'd like you to remember this: that open source software is freely available for anyone. It can be created anywhere by any one of you. All of the projects I've told you about today are accessible to each and every one of you to create anything you want. And at the Linux Foundation, we have over 1,500 organizations, companies like Huawei, Google, Amazon, many, many others, many of whom are competitors, who all come together, create software that all of them benefit and that's open to everyone. Because at the Linux Foundation, we believe that sharing software is not a zero-sum game. It's a game where everybody wins. And we're grateful that people here in China and organizations like Huawei support that wonderful movement. I hope you have a great day today, and I hope you use your imagination and open source software to create amazing products, services, different things that can help all of us become better. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Zemlin, for your inspiring speech about open source. 感谢 Zemlin 先生关于开源使能多样性的精彩分享。Now, please welcome Mr. Patrick Zhang, CTO of Huawei Cloud and AI Products and Services, who will be giving his presentation, Soar on the Wings of Huawei, Kunpeng and Ascend. 接下来有请华为 Cloud 与 AI 产品与服务 CTO 张顺茂先生带来演讲，与鲲鹏共展翅，升腾9万里。
Dear friends, developers, good morning. 2 months ago, in Shenzhen, we held a technical salon. I met a boy around 10 years old, but he was very diligent and he was practicing. I was wondering that he must be wanting to create something. I think everyone sitting here is the same. You have your own dream and you want to create something. I believe you are using your creativity and your code to weave a colorful dream of yourself. We, the Huaweiers, want to provide a fertile soil or a platform so you may fly higher with Kunpeng and Ascend. Earlier, when I was taking a flight, I watched a movie, and one line moved me. You can even talk underwater. A child talked under the water. Is there anything that is not possible? I think everything is possible, especially in this era of technology explosion. During the past 2 days, we've announced a lot of amazing technologies. With those technologies and platforms, we are more powerful and we have more opportunities to turn impossibilities to possibilities. Many developers asked, saying that Huawei launched your developer program since 2015. So what have the developers done over the past years. Saving the rainforest by listening. This summer, a big fire in Amazon forests burned the lung of the earth, and hundreds of millions of people were concerned about it. Deforestation is also a problem. Animals were not protected well. Rainforest Connection is a rainforest protection organization. They deployed Huawei's smartphones in the forests to collect various types of voices and transmit the voice and data to Huawei Cloud. The data is analyzed in Huawei's big data platform in the cloud. We can identify the electric source, voice, and the voice of automobiles or animals. Through the analysis, the Rainforest Protection Organization knows where should they go and check. We can save the rainforest by listening. Green magician in the desert. Desertification is a severe challenge that we are facing. By using AI robots, machine learning can tell them to dig holes or plant trees, water the plants, which can save a lot of manual work of mankind. And this has significantly increased the survival ratio of plants. And then let's look at the super scavenger robots. We displayed a robot in our exhibition booths. It has been quite popular. Garbage classification is not a delightful job, but this is very important to environment protection and also collection of recyclable items. ABB's super scavenger robots, which was jointly developed by Huawei and ABB, in less than 2 months. This robot can pick out glass, plastic containers or some others, and it can place the items in different bins. More importantly, the robot learns continuously online. So the robot can become smarter and smarter, and it will be able to pick out more and more different types of garbage. This analytics method precision is 1 millimeter. That means the tolerance is just 1 millimeter. Face recognition or license plate recognition were very common. How about recognition of the face of fruits? And DIGI developed an electric weighing scale to identify different fruits. If this one can tell an apple from an orange, it is not a big deal. But this one, it can tell whether the apple is from Fuji or Envy apple from New Zealand. So it can tell the different brands of apples, although they look very much alike each other. We know China has 5,000 of years of culture, but how many people can understand the ancient texts? When you go for a tour, if you saw some ancient scriptures, how could you be possible to understand it? Now we have trained a model to detect and recognize the ancient texts. And the recognition accuracy is 98%. There are many more such companies to come, and in Huawei's booth or on Huawei's cloud platform, you can see more stories like this. But the question is, why is it possible that the young engineers have developed such impressive products? I think the 2 engines provided by Huawei has made this possible. We've provided the most fundamental and most powerful computing power. that is our Kunpeng service and Ascend processes. We've opened the neighboring software. For example, yesterday we've made Euler OS available through open source and also GaussDB. The tools for OS and DB, the environment and the compiler will also be available through open source in the near future. For the Euler OS, we provide the fundamental operators. We also provide MindSpore for the AI developers. We also provide model arts. In addition, we provide a marketplace for you to store your results of development. And your outcome may reach everywhere in the world and they may be used by the customers of us worldwide. We're very delighted to see that not long ago, the Ministry of Science and Technology of China in the World AI Conference 2019 in Shanghai announced that Huawei is going to lead the development of fundamental hardware and software and create a new generation of AI open innovation platform. On this platform, Huawei is going to provide fundamental hardware and software platforms. In addition, Huawei will provide a development service layer, including MindSpore and model arts. Using this powerful platform, I believe the developers and companies of different industries, as well as research institutes, can just focus on the problems of your specific domain and leverage the platform to solve them. We will assist different industries and research institutes to implement AI. Also in this year, the MIIT of China also announced a cross-industry, cross-domain industry internet platform list, and Huawei's Fusion Plant is included. Yesterday afternoon, we announced 2 big partners who have used Huawei's Fusion Plant to develop industrial applications and services, including the Hanyun platform from a Chinese company, and also ABB Ability, which is also an industrial digital platform. They're all running on Huawei's Fusion Plant. On Huawei's Fusion Plant platform, there are a lot of services, but the most important one includes 3 parts. The first one is Kunpeng Cloud Computing Service and AI service. For industries, we know connectivity is very important, like connections among and within a factory. So we provide network services. As we are now in the 5G era, 5G networks will better connect the industry equipment.
Nowadays, computing power is everywhere and intelligence is pervasive. Applications run on device edge and cloud. When 5G is here, the benefits we can get is faster digital expressway with lower latency and higher bandwidth. That means that a number of applications need to move to the cloud. For example, your VR application in the future, when you have to do a lot of rendering of the VR video, it's not viable to do the rendering on your smartphone. So the rendering workload will be moved to the cloud. Because of the high bandwidth 5G, your transmission will be no problem and it will still deliver seamless experience. We see 5 million mobile applications on smartphones now. We think that there is a potential for them to move to Kunpeng cloud services. And how is it different from the x86-based cloud service? Because a Kunpeng cloud service got its inherent strength, because it is compatible with the ARM instruction set, both the Android-based and iOS-based. Because if it's a Kunpeng cloud service, it's inherently based on ARM instruction set. It means that it is homogeneous with the cloud architecture. In that case, when you port the applications to the cloud, you wouldn't have a loss in performance. However, if they are of a heterogeneous instruction set, you will have to do the parsing, because one is a RISC instruction set, and the other is based on x86, and the translation between the two instruction sets will ultimately lead to performance loss. Security is a key concern for the industry. HTTPS traffic has now made up over 80% of the total amount of traffic. What can be done to enhance the security, performance, and speed of HTTPS traffic? The traditional approach is to insert a board in PCIe bus on x86 servers. But Kunpeng CPU has adopted a different approach. Encryption and decryption security requirements are embedded into Kunpeng chipsets. Kunpeng processors are not just one core, it is SoC, is SoC, system on chip. It means that it's integrated with multi-cores, not just a computing core, but also encryption and decryption core, but southbound, northbound interfaces. And the encryption-decryption engines are one core in the Kunpeng processors. And these two cores are connected with an interconnect on SoC. Because of the SoC interconnect, it's going to have a huge boost to performance and security. JD Digital web applications is just one good example, because it proves that this approach can improve performance in real life by 45%. Developers always want to have very efficient development and want the tools to be easy to be used, and they always want to have one development and then the results could be deployed everywhere. Huawei's Kunpeng cloud services have the feature because it is based on ARM instruction set. It is not just on the device, but on the edge and on the cloud. And ARM processors also share the same feature, because the underlying instruction set is the same and the computing architecture is the same. That is why, be it the applications on your device or the training model, which is based on DaVinci on the cloud, are based on the same instruction sets, and they can be run on the edge, on the device, on the cloud, without the translation process that I described. So it's one development, and it can be deployed everywhere. Another thing is the development of is the migration of existing apps. They are not native applications. What about it's developed based on Java and Python? Well, it will be no problem, because they are interpretable language. They can directly run on ARM-based platform. What about C and C++ language? As long as you have source code, it's no problem, because you can compile it again. With the Huawei provided tool, you can do one compilation. Maybe it will involve a modification of some code because it involves different library. You also have to fine-tune the performance because the cores will be different. You are actually porting apps from a heavy core to a multi-core system. But anyways, we've got tools that make it easy. What about assembly language? Well, It's a bit more work here, but fortunately we don't have a lot of things written with assembly language, but it has to be redone. What if you only have the binary, you don't have the source code? An ongoing task is to develop a tool that is able to translate your binary. And once we have mature results from this ongoing initiative, we're going to launch the tool to enable your work. Our Kunpeng toolkit is able to improve your efficiency in development. And please have a look at the big screen, our toolkit. Here they are. These are Huawei Kunpeng Developer Kit components. You've got a compiler collection, and my colleague Zhang Xiwei will share more information about it with you. In addition to our developer kit, we also have software development platform for you. As you know, 2 years ago, we have a DevCloud launched, and it's fully supportive of a Kunpeng development environment. The developer kit is fully deployed on Huawei Cloud. The kit runs on Kunpeng Cloud services, including ECS and container services. So on the ECS and container services, we also support the compiler collection. It means that you can compile your code in this kit, and then it can be turned into something running on Kunpeng. We also provide whole lifecycle software management tool for you, from requirements planning to requirements analysis to development, verification, and integration, to the last phase, going live of the version, and then monitoring of the operation of your software. It can all be supported in our lifecycle management tool. With regards to AI, Huawei Cloud is committed to providing inclusive AI services because we want it to be affordable and accessible to every developer. Model Arts can support those without much skills in AI, while at the same time also provide professional support to AI experts. If you're just a new birdie in AI, you don't need to be very skilled in AI dev. All it takes is 3 steps. It will help you to develop an app that can identify an object. The first thing you have to do is to upload and label the data, and then you submit it. Second step is click and start AI training. The system will choose an appropriate model to train the model, and then step 3, you verify the model and roll out services. All you need to do is to upload an object photo so that the model will run, and then to see, for example, in this case, it can tell whether the engineers are wearing helmets. However, if you are an AI engineer and you are going for commercial applications, you will need more precision of the models, and you also need faster apps. That is why we've also got more diverse support for AI engineers. We now have included mainstream computing frameworks, including our Mindspoor. We also support Caffe, MXNet, PyTorch, and the TensorFlow. You can use whichever one that fits you better, or you can just simply use the one that you know how to use. In addition to that, we have pre-installed diverse operator library. You can select the channels of IOs, for example, that can be used for modeling of the feed distance, or that can be used for very specific data models. 2 days ago, we launched the most powerful training cluster, Atlas 900. It can be very flexible, one core. This can be used for recreational development and testing, or it can be as large as multi-cores that can be used for astronomical exploration. When you need super high computing power, Atlas 900 can also be applied. For the more advanced AI developers, the AI masters, we've got more innovations in our solutions to help you explore the unknown. You can develop your own operators. You don't like our operators pre-installed? You can use our toolkit to develop new operators on Mindspool. For your domain-specific models, you can develop your own AI computing framework. You can define your own activation function and neural network. It's fully flexible toolkit that enables you to explore the unknown. I would like to hand it over to my colleague, Mr. Jia Yongli, to share with you how you can use it in a specific case. Thank you.
Incredible insights into Huawei's ecosystem strategy and the launch of the Kunpeng Developer Kit. 感谢张顺茂先生对华为生态的战略解读和鲲鹏开发套件的震撼发布。Next, please welcome Mr. Jack Jia, the General Manager of Huawei Cloud BU EI Product Department, to share his views on the flourishing AI ecosystem. 有请华为云 EI 服务产品部总经理贾永利先生带来分享蓬勃发展的 AI 生态。
Respected leaders, guests, developers, good morning. I'm very happy to have this opportunity to share with you Huawei's thoughts and latest progress in AI development. I think everyone sitting here must have perceived that AI is changing our lives, and it is all going to transform all different industries around us. But the path or the road to the future intelligent world is not so smooth. And one big chasm is the scarcity of AI talent. Compared with the large group of IT talent, we think there is a developer gap of at least 1 million. Today, we want to express our respect to all the developers. Thanks to the developers, they are the ones who are bridging AI with the future intelligent world. Over the past year, Huawei has practiced its principle of inclusive AI, and we have worked with partners to build the AI ecosystem. Now, the number of partners and developers have both grown very significantly. And there is a story that I want to share with you. Last month, a child named Liao Haoran, who just graduated from the primary school, he told his father, he said he would choose to study AI rather than traveling to Singapore. He took a flight to Shenzhen and attended our one-day AI training course, and he was the last one to leave. Well, I think at this young age, he is already a very outstanding AI developer. It is just because of the passion of such developers we are inspired and encouraged to go further in the AI development domain. In 2019, Huawei has fully implemented our full-stack all-scenario AI strategy. From chipset to software, we have fully implemented our capabilities, and Huawei Cloud AI is also upgraded. And this year, we have set 2 targets. First, we'd like to significantly lower the threshold for beginners, so more AI beginners and the large group of software developers will be able to acquire AI skills faster and start using AI when they develop applications for different industries. This is about the coverage of AI. And on the other hand, we are going to significantly enhance efficiency of development for professional AI practitioners so that algorithm engineers and data scientists can focus on the research and the innovation of fundamental and core algorithms. So how to achieve these 2 targets? We will use AI technologies to address the difficulties in AI development. We will align the end-to-end process from data preparation to model training to model inference and management. Through the end-to-end simplified process and automation, we want to fundamentally change the current AI development model. Earlier, many developers asked a question about the key features of model arts. Well, today, I've brought 8 key equipment in order to better show the effectiveness of those equipment. Now I'd like to invite my colleague, Dr. Bai Xiaolong, Huawei's Cloud Deep Learning Architect. Dr. Bai, as a senior AI developer, where do you want to enhance efficiency the most? As everyone knows, the quality of data set is very important to model accuracy. So AI developers spend a lot of time to prepare data. They need to clean the data, label them, and then analyze them. So we really want to enhance efficiency for data preparation. That's true. Data is really critical for AI. When a project starts, the processing of the raw data is a big headache for many developers. Some images are not qualified. And from the business perspective, some images may also need to be screened out. For example, on the screen, we have shown some examples of the sales slides. The ones on the right side are unqualified, and they should not be included for labeling. This kind of screening was done manually in the past, but when the data is millions or tens of thousands, it would be too much work. So we've provided intelligent screening with AI. In the future, the machine can automatically screen out the unqualified data, and we can clean the data more efficiently. Once the data is ready, the second step is to label the data. Well, I think the AI developers feel that labeling of data is very boring, but this is something that they must do, because the quantity and the quality of labeling can directly impact the quality of the ultimate model. So can we let the machine to label the data for us? It is possible. Using semi-supervised and proactive learning and some other technologies, we can do this much more efficiently while maintaining similar level of accuracy. Actually, it's not just about labeling. We believe that deep understanding of the data sets also fundamentally impact the development. Therefore, we've provided an automatic data feature mining function. This is like a CT machine to assist you to prepare data. It can analyze the comprehensive features of your data set. Besides the over 20 major features, it can also mine some other features which may be you cannot expect it. You may not expect it. From the statistical perspective, the evaluated data sets and the trained data sets should be consistent, but there are a lot of problems in this area, no matter for experienced or new or beginners. So we want to use a tool to address this systematically. To make it easier to understand, I'd like to ask Dr. Bai to demo it to you. So this is MoDARTS 2.0. In data management, we can click the data that we have already uploaded. You can see we have already labeled 55 images. This is an example of finding a parking space by an autonomous driving car. 55 images are not sufficient to train an accurate model, so we added another 120 images. However, we do not want to label them manually. Therefore, I can use intelligent labeling function. The system will use the model that it has generated by studying the labeled data to label the other 120 images. So this is proactive learning. So you can see the machine has already labeled the rest 120 images. We can click one. The accuracy is above 99%. We use the semi-supervised learning. And those unlabeled images helped us to enhance the accuracy of the model. And we can verify the results manually later. And then I want to show you the second feature. Let's choose one data set. And we can choose two different data set versions. One is training set, another one is evaluation set. We can choose the feature labeling related features. So I choose bounding box. The bounding box marginalization value and another two parameters, they are quite different. In order to have the most precise model, we needed to add more training sets into it. So this is how it can help us to fine-tune our model. Huawei Cloud worked together with Shanghai Jiao Tong University and applied what Dr. Bai has demonstrated to us in driverless car competition. The logic is very simple. The model could be deployed on the edge or device, and we used the Atlas 200 high-length kit. This is a small box. In this box, we use the 3559 CPU and also Ascend 310 MPU. We use Euler OS and Controller OS. The final competition was yesterday. It was really impressive. Maybe some of you didn't see the results. Maybe now we can invite Dr. Bai to demo the performance of this driverless vehicle to you. So you can now the driverless vehicle is already on the line. We have applied a lane identification model and used binarization processing, so the vehicle is able to identify the trajectory of the lane and drive within the lane. Also, we deployed a parking lot identification model on this vehicle, so the vehicle has found a parking space and parked the vehicle. Very good. I've noticed a problem. The vehicle didn't recognize the zebra crossing. it would be very dangerous if we put this into use. Can you demonstrate to us how to quickly repair this issue? How can you train the model and address this problem? So earlier we have collected some data of the zebra crossing and also used a bounding box to label the data. Now we can look at SSD training code because we have added a zebra crossing, so we needed to change the num classes from 1 to 2 and submit and trigger another round of training. You can see the model is trained. This is a PyCharm IDE. I think this is the most popular IDE. It is very good for managing large-scale Python projects, and we have embedded a plugin in PyCharm, so you can submit it to the cloud for training. And here is the configuration of the training work. And the engine is Huawei's in-house MindSpore. We're using Ascend 910 chipsets, 8 chipsets. In addition, we have got relevant zebra crossing datasets and codes. So next, I would like to talk about the algorithm development process. So you can see here the code is very concise. It's just over 100 lines. And the main function, there are several modules. The first one is to define the hyperparameters, and the second is to define the optimizer. In order to enhance training efficiency, we can use graph mode, which is a static compiling model. Then we can use the train method to finish the training. This is the main process for using MindSpore. So you can see coding by using MindSpore is very concise and easy. For MindSpore, there's another important feature, that is the source code automatic differentiation. Using FOCLAWS as an example, I'd like to explain the automatic differentiation feature of MindSpore. So this is the realization of FOCLAWS. We just need 4 lines of code for the backward operator. You can see we use the gradient of input and using Tensor Engine's differentiated API. And any operator developed based on MindSpore does not require manual writing of the implementation of the backpropagation. Sometimes in the past, you need to write a lot of logic or tens or hundreds of lines of codes for backpropagation.
Can you further explain how it's able to have a parallel operators? Let's come back to the main function, and the models are being called for training. We have an auto-parallel parameter. This parameter alone is able to turn a standalone model into a parallel model. This is easy to do. You can choose to use the number of cards that you need, 8 to 32 or even more. Is it finished? Now let's open it up. After the training, you can see that it's pre-converged, and we have finished the model training, and it's deployed on the white car. Let's see whether it's able to recognize the zebra lines. Now let's have a look. The car has detected the zebra lines and stopped. Great. This is just a case that explains how you can develop, train, and deploy the model on the cloud. This is the whole pipeline. It only takes 2 minutes. This is not difficult. Thank you, Dr. White, for the demonstration. As a developer, you must want to know more about the IDE and the toolkit. As Dr. White has explained, it's open ADK and open APIs, so that model arts can be easily integrated with other IDE and toolkits. While you're enjoying the abundant resources on the cloud, you can use the IDE that you know most testing and commissioning. This is very user-friendly. For enterprise users, if you integrate Model Arts with your own pipeline, you can build industry-specific AI platform. Mindspore is easy to use and efficient, as we have demoed. This is very powerful as an enable computing power, but algorithm engineers and data scientists can find it easier to innovate. They don't have to know how to write the complex code, and they don't have to go through the complex compilation. It will expedite their neural network innovations. After fine-tuning the model, you still have some work to do in order to have a very useful model, because fine-tuning involves a lot of work. It takes rounds and rounds of fine-tuning. Sometimes it takes weeks and months. And someone says that this is a tedious and arduous process, like the huge amounts of time you use to develop a new medicine. Now we have an intelligent diagnostic feature. It offers a great variety of fine-tuning parameters, and it shows great visualization. As you can see from the dashboard on the big screen, you were able to see whether you miss or hit the target. If you miss it, is it because of occlusion? Is it because of mixture with background information or for other reasons? And you'll be able to know what are the major occlusions and the attributes so that you can get rid of them, so that you have sufficient information for fine-tuning. You have the curve of the function, and the function curve shows you the direction to go for when you adjust the threshold parameters. It's just like that you have the help of a master in fine-tuning. I believe this feature is very useful because you're able to expedite your work by at least 2 magnitudes. In real-life applications, AI developers found it difficult to have a readily used model because it's a perfect model in labs. However, when it comes to real-life use, you will have a number of problems, especially in industrial use cases. It's so complex that you cannot try every possible use case in labs. It means that by collecting large amounts of data will not do. You still have to test it in real life. And what is our solution? We have a feature that can help you find out the most thorny use cases. Our inference model monitors real-time results in order to identify the thorny use cases and then put it in the library. This is continuous federated learning and online learning that can optimize the use cases that you train your model with. We think that this feature is very important for enterprise users because it can really evolve by itself. We have already deployed this on our autonomous driving cloud services. This has very impressive results in improving the performance in difficult use cases. But there are a lot more complex issues. It's not just OCR, voice recognition and image recognition, because these are temporal spatial models that you can easily build up. What about the logical relationship between the genome sequencing? Because there is no clear logical relationship between them, then how can you build an effective model to train your application? We have a very powerful feature called multi-element search. It means that it supports automatic fine-tuning of parameters, automatic reinforced learning, and automatic search. All of these are integrated together in the feature so that the AI system is able to design a neural network model itself and then complete the fine-tuning all by itself. I would like to use a case of genome sequencing. It's a single-cell genome graph, and with this case, the machine finds a model and then tunes the model is much better than human experts. and it also performs at least 5% better than the industry counterparts, and the performance is 5 times better. I think that with the multi-element search feature in genetics, pharmaceuticals, biology, industry, you name it, especially in the cross-discipline sectors, you will find it very useful, so that you are like having a multidiscipline AI expert, so that the human experts can have more time to figure out the more difficult issues that cannot be addressed by AI. Our full-stack all-scenario portfolio is a decoupled architecture, and we have exposed our capabilities. For every layer, we have borrowed the best techniques and skills from the industry. We would like to offer the most easy-of-use technology and services to developers, so that you can develop scenario-specific applications. Let's build a thriving ecosystem together. Huawei Cloud is now fully deployed with full-stack and all-scenario strategy. Huawei Cloud is the most ease-of-use services for developers in the industry. We hope that it is inclusive, AI, affordable, effective, and reliable for everyone. That's all for my sharing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jack Jia, for your fascinating views on Huawei's latest progress in the AI ecosystem and the launch of Model Arts 2.0. 感谢贾永利先生分享华为在 AI 生态的最新进展和 Model Arts 2.0的精彩发布。Next, please welcome Mr. Siwei Zhang, President of Huawei Taishan and Atlas Domain, to give a speech on cultivating the Kunpeng ecosystem. 有请华为泰山与 Atlas 领域总裁张希伟先生为我们带来分享繁荣鲲鹏生态。
尊敬的各位
Distinguished guests, developers, good morning. I'm Siwei. From intelligent computing business of Huawei, I'm in charge of Taishan and the Atlas business. The theme of my presentation is cultivating the Kunpeng system, a leap in computing power. I'm so glad to have this opportunity to discuss with you how the abundant computing power and development kit of Kunpeng can make your development application easier. Kunpeng is general purpose CPU, and more than that. Kunpeng is first and foremost an SoC system on chip, with 2 CPU dies supporting up to 64 cores. The multi-core advantage of Kunpeng can be coupled with a high I/O bandwidth, high memory bandwidth, and a high data throughput. They come together to provide abundant computing power of Kunpeng. Inside there is a net card, a SAS bridge, a SAS controller, and acceleration engine. That makes Kunpeng the industry's most integrated data center CPU. Kunpeng is also an open computing platform. Working in computing for over 10 years, Huawei has invested over 20,000 R&D engineers. Huawei opens the Kunpeng board in order to share all these accumulations and abilities. So compute, storage, transfer, management, and intelligence are all integrated in Kunpeng through the self-developed chips. And we have also built in the high-speed connection, reliability design, and other core engineering techniques. By opening the Kunpeng board, we would like to prioritize the support of our partners to develop their own computing products. The success of computing industry is first about the success of an ecosystem. Kunpeng board will be opened. OpenEOLA OS is open sourced, and OpenGauss DB is open sourced. Development kit and the cloud for Kunpeng and the eco-bases are all provided to enable developers. We help system software and industry applications to break the bottleneck of computing power. We would like to partner with all the members of the ecosystem to co-develop and share in the Kunpeng computing industry ecosystem. At the early stage of our designing, we have been thinking about how we can provide the sustainable computing power to the intelligent world. First, the business require more real-time capabilities for data analytics and decision-making. Computing power is shifting from data center to the edge of business. The 5G network is leading more applications to cloudify, and computing power is growing both at the edge and at the devices. So that has driven the development of the computing ecosystem and innovation of our architecture. Kunpeng has the advantage of a shared computing architecture for device, edge, and the cloud. So with the multi-core low power consumption capability, Kunpeng has become a mainstream choice for edge computing. With the ARM mobile devices, so we have helped cloud games and cloud phones and other businesses to seamlessly migrate onto the cloud. We are breaking the boundary among the data center, edge, and devices. And we are providing and developing a consistent architecture for computing power so that the developers will be able to more rapidly develop, agilely deploy, and efficiently operate the systems. On another trend, IT system and architecture is turning from centralized into distributed model. Distributed parallel computing IT architecture will require the commensurating computing power. So with the extensive use of big data, distributed storage, and a distributed database, the multi-core structure of Kunpeng is leading the trend of IT architecture transformation. 5G, AI, autonomous driving, and other new businesses and the technologies are emerging. They lead to the diverse demand for computing power. Huawei has leveraged the synergy between Kunpeng and Ascend and can flexibly scale up AI computing power. Recently, we deployed the high-speed free flow project, and Kunpeng is there to do the billing. And Ascend analyzes the video flow, and this is a typical case of the diversified computing synergy. And we develop one. We actually produce one generation, develop one generation, and plan another generation. This is our strategy. So we have kicked off the development of the next generation of Kunpeng, and Kunpeng will fly high. Thank you. Since 2016, Huawei has been extensively using Kunpeng in its own IT system. So far, in our global data centers, we have deployed over 100,000 Kunpeng equipments, so they have powerfully supported our own business. Moreover, in our products and solutions, we have all switched onto the Taishan servers based on Kunpeng. In Huawei Cloud and Huawei Consumer Cloud, most of the scenarios have been switched onto Kunpeng. Our own practice has shown that Kunpeng can effectively ensure its readiness for commercial use, and it can also ensure business continuity. At the same time, we have also accumulated a lot of experience in application migration and computing power scaling, and we consolidated them into our development kit, and we are going to share the kit with our development partners. In January this year, we officially launched Kunpeng 920. In the past 9 months since then, so we have joined hands with the industry partners and achieved the migration onto Kunpeng ecosystem of more than 3,000 industry applications. The BSS solution of Asia Info raised its performance by 30%. In DeepIn, the MyCircle business latency is down by 59%, and the transit swap TPS DS query performance is up by 120%, and in ISO the backup performance is up by 30%. In XSky, the cluster power consumption is down by 30%. When we want to work fast, we work alone, but if we want to work far, we work together. So we cannot prosper without the participation of the entire ecosystem and all our partners. I would like to thank you so much for working with us. Why these applications can get a strong boost of the performance after being migrated into Kunpeng? As we know, application cannot go without compilation processes, threads, functions, and the kernel scheduling. So these are the key essential supports. And we have provided the acceleration of computing power by 5 levels. We can ensure your performance can be much better. Let's first look at the compilation of programs. That is a key to the high-performance applications. Our compilers and processors can synergize and do the parallel optimization of code and the vector optimization, memory layout optimization through iterative compilation, and overall performance can be raised by 15%. Also, the second step is the distribution of system resources such as CPU, memory, and I/O. The Kunpeng NUMA Aware technology can automatically configure the optimized resources distribution and improve the performance by 20%. The operation of programs is done by the threads, and among the threads there is frequent communication. We have the industry-first message queue hard acceleration technology. The processor embeds the buffer in the processor, so there's no visit to memory, and the communication efficiency is raised by 60%. Also, for function operation, we provide the acceleration library, the packaged vector instruction set, and the chip accelerated engine. HTTPS RSA encryption performance is doubled, and the compression and decompression performance is up by 10x. In the multi-thread and multi-core scenario, the OpenOLAR operating system applies the machine learning algorithm can always be on top of the business dynamics and dynamically optimize the resource allocation. The 5-in-1 algorithm, the computing power acceleration technology condense our long-term development and provide the developers and innovators with the strongest support of computing power. What does it take for an application to migrate to Kunpeng? First, we need to analyze and assess the source code, and second, do the code porting, program compilation, and performance optimization. These are the 4 steps of migration. Based on our development kit, we hope to make your application migration more agile and efficient. I would like to walk you through the journey of a piece of code and show you how you can do the extremely efficient development. I'm not going to talk about what innovation will be enabled by this piece of code, because that will be disclosed by a friend of mine who will come up the stage later. First, let's look at the code analysis. Based on the instruction set technology and programming language expertise, Huawei has developed the analytics and code migration tools for different instruction sets. That is actually a bridge between 2 instruction sets. Through our tools, the code porting can be enabled across different computing platforms, and that is unprecedented in the industry. For 90% of the C and C++ language and 50% of assembly language, automatic porting can be achieved by our tools. And the developers can be agnostics of the differences among different instruction sets. And while porting, the code is also optimized. This is actually our scanning and analytics tool and the port and the code porting tool. Actually, the scanning will identify the changes needed and accept the workload. A lot of our porting experience is consolidated into our tools and developer community. By clicking this link, you'll be able to access quickly the guidance on the porting in our community. At one stop in the future, you will be able to access all the resources and the supports that you need. So the code porting tool has mastered the grammatical differences in different instruction sets for all kinds of assembly languages. For this one, for the jump, skip, and the CRC proof test value and MOV instructions, the revision recommendations are provided. For this piece of C language, the tool identifies the very typical alignment trap in the original code. In order to make the code more robust, the recommendations on adaptation are provided. So that is what you see on the right. And in the original code, there is array multiplication for 4 cycles. The tool recommends to use the vector multiplication in Neo instruction set to improve the performance of the program and optimize the function. The compilation is also a key step of performance optimization, as I said. The Kunpeng processor has a PMU module inside, so the pre-compiled training and learning can output the profile information that will enable the compilers to better understand the code and the processor's iterative compilation will yield a performance improvement by 15%. Now let's look at how we can actually do the iterative optimization of this piece of code. This is a very common if-else function. You are familiar with it, and by the judgment of the parameters, we enter the block A and the block B instructions. By business training, PMU found that block B is much more popular than block A. The initial instruction configuration is not good. That leads to frequent cache miss. After recompilation, we can see that the heat level of the functions optimize the instruction configuration, the cache hit rate is up, and the performance of execution is improved by 30%. After compilation, developers also need to optimize and tune the whole system for performance. Our analytics tools can capture the performance data of CPU, BMC, net card, SSD controllers, and other key parts of the system so that the system performance can be fully visible. And the system also integrates the experience of tuning experts. So in terms of system, processes, functions, and code, top-down analysis is provided, and optimization can be done by one click. The performance tools are applicable not only to single PCs, but the entire clusters. So this is an analytics tool for performance optimization. Here you can see the CPU usage, DDR bandwidth, and disk I/O, and other key metrics of system performance. Let's just follow up, and we'll be able to see the DRAM memory visit performance. And the tool has identified that there is too much visit to the far-end memory. There is 75% of the visits go there, and the latency drags down the performance. And by the thread analysis, we can see that thread 1 and 2 are assigned to 2 CPU nodes. So there is cross-NUMA memory access because of this. And the optimization tool can further identify the problem-causing code and function. Here we can see that the thread 1 is frequently reading the global variables in the far-end memory. After finding the problems, we need to also work out the problems and resolve them. We change the configuration so the 2 threads sharing data will be assigned to the same CPU core for processing. Thus, the performance is enhanced. By this piece of demonstration, you'll be able to see that Kunpeng Performance Optimization tool is very practical because it is designed for the real operation of developers. And this is a result of our long-term practice insight. We hope to make your application development more handy. Facing the resource competition in the multi-core and multi-thread scenario, OpenOLAR operating system has done a lot of scheduling of algorithm and optimization, so we can fully leverage our multi-core advantage. I would like to illustrate that with the two innovative technologies. One is the triple intelligent scheduling technology. So the intelligent scheduling work on the kernel, clusters, and the die. So the various processes are assigned to the best cores, and thus we can balance the load across the system. The second is the smart auto optimization technology. So the multi-layer sensing and learning can be achieved in Drive kernel virtualization and the libraries. So more than 7,000 system parameters can be automatically optimized. The more you use your system, the quicker it will be. For example, the log optimization for my circle read and write can achieve improvement of performance by 35%. On the screen, you can see the competition landscape of the analytical log of the OpenOLAR operating system. The intelligent management of the thread concurrence and the CPU resources will be able to free a lot of tuning engineers from the enormous workload of repetitive operations. By open sourcing the OpenOLAR operating system, we can unleash the potentials for Kunpeng's computing power. Developers write code, and it is also code that are operated on the processors. The code made by the developers can be coupled with the abundant computing power of Kunpeng, and let's work together to turn impossibilities into possibilities and change the world with our innovation. Kunpeng enables developers, and we inject the world-changing algorithm and computing power to every line of code. You're welcome to scan this QR code and join the Kunpeng developer community and Kunpeng system. For these days, in our demonstration area, we have deployed our development kits. We got a good initial response from developers. On September the 30th, we will officially announce and release the developer kit in our developer kit. So we hope you can examples use them and let us know your recommendations. I would like to invite Mr. Wang Wei, CIO of Sina. He will disclose what business innovation was enabled by this piece of code, and he will also share with you the cooperation practice between Sina and Huawei Kunpeng.
For your insights into cultivating the Kunpeng ecosystem. 感谢张希伟先生关于构建鲲鹏生态的分享。Now, please welcome Mr. Robert Wang, CIO of Sina Corp, to share the best practices for development based on the Kunpeng computing platform. 有请新浪集团首席信息官王威先生带来基于鲲鹏计算平台的开发实践。
Thank you, Ms. Moderator, for your kind introduction. Distinguished leaders, guests, and dear members of the audience. Good morning, everyone. Sina is a long-term partner of Huawei. With Huawei, we have been partnering on network devices, cloud, consumer mobile devices. We have cooperated with Huawei in both breadth and depth. It is my honor to speak on behalf of a customer of Huawei and share with you how Sina News have been using the open computing platform of Kunpeng and the experience we have achieved. First and foremost, AI is a strategic technology that is ushering the next generation of scientific revolution and industrial transformation. It is also reshaping the news service. We integrate news media and AI in our applications. So we are migrating from labs to deployment. for all kinds of AI intelligent technologies like the robot writing, smart recommendation, voice syndication, and computer vision have been extensively used in the production, reviewing, customized distribution, and interaction of news content. Xin'an News is a leading online media in China. From early on, we started achieving the integration of internet, AI, and news through Eagle Eye and our cloud reviewing system and intelligent reviewing technologies. We have leveraged the power of AI to make it more efficient for us to write, review, and distribute news. Just now, Siwei gave you information about our applications on Kuntong platform. That is actually our Eagle Eye system. What is it for? It is a tool for us to mine the whole network to identify the potential hotspot content. By this tool of identifying popular content, the news service we provide have gone beyond the spider extraction of news. Rather, we can actually apply a network-wide probe every a few seconds or a few minutes. It will be able to monitor in real time the exposure, the readership, and reposting of news content. So as early as possible, we can identify the potentially viral news, and the popular news can be pushed to the users ASAP. As I said, Xin'an News is an AI-powered media platform. When it is intelligent, we need to get data first. Xin'an has been operating news portal for 21 years, so we have abundant data about news. We also have Xin'an Weibo. For 10 years, it has been a leading social media, so we have a lot of social media data. With such mega data, we are able to apply AI and AI strategies so that AI technologies will power our news writing, reviewing, and distribution. Apart from the Eagle Eye, which is designed to spot the popular news, so it is actually about news production. In addition, we have the tools to automatically write news. That is actually robot news writing. And there's also template writing. So there are also tools to generate the template data. We have 24/7 news service. Actually, it is achieved by robots plus big data. So users will get real-time rolling news for intelligent monitoring and reviewing. By working with the Huawei and other professional firms, we have broken away from the traditional way of review. So by machine learning, the improvement is made end-to-end. So we are much more capable in filtering content. We can ensure that our users will be able to read the news that are ensured to be of high quality and accuracy. So in the stage of distribution and broadcasting, so our news are scenario-based on an individualized basis, and they are broadcasted not only to the traditional PC and mobile devices, they are also provided to IoT, intelligent vehicles, wearables, and a smart home. And what is distributed is not only text and images, but also audio and video. There are two basic conditions for AI. One is data, the other is algorithm and strategies. When they are available, we can improve our service quality. But both data and algorithm must be based on a powerful computing platform. So that is the open computing platform of Kunpeng. So on Kunpeng platform, we have built the megadata storage and the processing architecture. On this architecture, we have developed a lot of intelligent applications like the intelligent news subject to rapid iterations. And there's also recommendation flow, headline flow, highlights flow. They can satisfy the user's interest in short-term, medium-term, and long-term. So we can avoid the excessive recommendation of news. On Kunpeng platform, we have also built the applications for different devices. For example, a smart voice, so people can actually listen to news and consume our content. With the AR, VR, the visual interactions can be more interesting. This is a case study. In April this year, we worked with Huawei to develop the cache pool based on the computing power of Kunpeng. So we had certain concern. Initially, we had limited knowledge about the technical details of Kunpeng. And another concern is after migration, whether we will lose a certain product features and whether can we deliver users' expectation. We were not sure about that. Huawei staffed very good engineers for our project. We spent much less human resources than expectation. It took us only 4 person months to do the code analysis, porting, and system optimization. Just now, Siwei talked about the ability of Kunpeng to do light deployment. As a user of Kunpeng, I know this so well, especially in terms of performance optimization. We work on the content acceleration pool and memory, net card, and so on and so forth. So far, our performance has been improved by 20%. We trust that with more collaboration with Huawei, we can get even bigger improvement of performance. I'm more than grateful to Huawei for allowing our team to master the technical features of Kunpeng and accumulate sound experience of implementation. We hope that we can make more out of Kunpeng in terms of the multi-core heterogeneous structure and capabilities. In terms of AI, we hope to achieve more technological innovations so that we can provide our users with even better media services. This is the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Wang for that wonderful speech. 感谢王威先生的精彩分享。Please welcome Mr. Patrick Zhang, CTO of Huawei Cloud and AI Products and Services for the launch of the Huawei Developer Program 2.0. 接下来，让我们再次有请华为 Cloud 与 AI 产品与服务 CTO 张顺茂先生发布华为公司生态支持计划。
Good morning, I'm back to stage. We know that in 2015, in Shenzhen, we held the first edition of Huawei HDC in 2015, and we announced Huawei Developer Program. Since then, we gradually opened our ICT and CT capacity, and then we opened our IT capacity and cloud capacity. After that, we shared our DevCloud capability. Last year, we opened and shared Ascend AI capability, and this year, we shared our Kunpeng capability. So every year, we would share our capability to developers. In the past 5 years, as we have promised, we opened 21 Open Lab across the globe, from Suzhou to Moscow, to Mexico, to Singapore, Munich in Germany, and Dubai. Now we have Open One Open Lab network globally, serving our developers, supporting our developers. Also on cloud, we set up developer community so that you can have easier and quicker access to our engineer service. We're happy to see that now we already have 1.3 registered developers. And I believe the true number of the developers far exceed that number, including you. We also have developers in enterprises and individual developers who may not have registered on our cloud, but I suggest and I hope that you can register on our cloud to become a registered developers, because you will have more detailed technical support from us. Looking ahead into the future, in the next 5 areas, we will upgrade Huawei Developer Program. So, in which 5 areas will Huawei Developer Program 2.0 upgrade? In the area of products, we will focus on Kunpeng and Ascend computing chip to build open source computing industry, from GhostDB, OS, from product service to Kunpeng development toolkit to DevCloud. We will establish a wider open community. We believe only if we are stronger in our capacity and our sharing ability will be more confident. The second area is an all-round capacity growth system, including on-cloud community, offline open lab, and also developer saloon and face-to-face coaching. We will provide our developers with a family-like community surrounded with warmth, knowledge, and intelligence. At any time, in any place, whatever difficulty you have encountered, do not hesitate to contact Huawei. We have 180 staff in different parts of the world. They may be beside you. Number 3, we will establish a more practice-oriented industry alliance. We will promote the building of industry standards, demonstration base, and the technical certification system, so that we can make the pie bigger. Kunpeng belong to Huawei, belong to China, belong to the world. And so is Ascend. It is Huawei's capacity, it belongs to China and the world at large. We're going to work together with the rest of the world. Number 4, we are going to build industry-specific application ecosystem and build the industry ecosystem by regions. We know that different industry has its industry and every region has its own strength and advantage. So we're going to bring into full play the advantage and the strength of each industry, sector, and region. So in our developer program, we're going to build a soil. The soil is fertile, the soil is wide and enormous. Number 5, we will step up cooperation with educational and research institutes so that every student will be equipped with technology related to Kunpeng and Ascend, so that the first lesson in the computer learning is Kunpeng and Ascend. The first lab project is related to Kunpeng. We want to make sure that every research institute will be empowered by strongest computing power. In the future, we're going to publish series of books on smart computing technologies, including Kunpeng General Processor and Ascend AI Processor, and also DevCloud, the cloud-native software developing platform. And today, I'm going to officially announce the first textbook of Ascend. Please look at the big screen. And today, it's my great honor to have with us the author of this book, Professor Liang, to join us in this moment. Welcome, glad to see you. Professor Liang, can you say a few words of this book? Yes, thank you, Mr. Zhang. I want to thank Huawei for giving me this opportunity to write this textbook. When I accepted the task, I feel extremely honored, but also feel the sense of mission and a sense of responsibility, because I have the keen feeling that in this time, we really need a product that can represent the highest level of chip industry in China. When I embarked on writing this book, I soon realized that what Huawei is to offer is not just a brand new architecture or chip, it is also a brand new ecosystem and platform. What is more important is that Huawei has opened a new journey in front of us. It will represent a new dream and a new landscape for the industry. So openness and open source. In the beginning, we can only think about Linux, Google, both of which are foreign companies. But now we're happy to see that Huawei, from the very beginning, realized the importance of this issue. They are open and all-inclusive. They open their arms widely to embrace the world. So I have every reason to believe that in the next 10 years, the open source in China will join hands with the open source in the world, and Huawei will be a pivotal force in that landscape. The building of an open source ecosystem starts from the collaboration in academic system, from ARM's processor to NVIDIA GPU, both of which started their journey with close collaboration with academia. So I believe with the publishing of this textbook, together with other works done by Huawei, in the next few years, Huawei will surely fly high and far with Ascend and Kunpeng. Thank you, Professor Liang. This is for you. Yes, I will spend my time and energy to read this book carefully. Thank you. Huawei Developer Program 2.0 will upgrade in 5 areas as I introduced. We'll also continue to focus on developers and target at the awareness, learning, building, going to market, the 4 stages of development. We will sort and optimize our processes and resource allocation, because we know developers' needs at different stage are different. Their demands and needs during building, learning, and going to market are different. So we will provide different funding to support this process. For example, at the learning stage, we will provide Learning Development Fund. At building stage, we provide Product Development Fund. In going to market stage, we provide Marketing Development Fund. That is to say, at every step of our developers' process, will be around our developers. We will stay together with our developers side by side at every stage along the course. We are always ready to fund. We provide marketing fund during the going to market stage. We will also offer marketplace on the cloud as well as some offline events. To give you an example, this session of HC has received the attention widely for its waste sorting machine. CCTV 1 and 2 gave live broadcast to this product. This is a huge improvement to the brand awareness. And then our friends in ABB were very happy because received a lot of order, a lot of requests were asked, when can the consumer have access to this good machine? So this is the result of our going to market support. Huawei Developer Program 2.0 will also further divide our developers into different sectors, including universities and institutes, individual developers, startups, and enterprise developers, because each and every segment of developers have different needs and requirements. We provide more tailored, enabling, and supporting plans for all 4 types of developers. For example, for universities, they will enjoy free learning materials and more affordable equipment and devices. Developer Program 2.0 also offer other resources, including Kunpeng Prototype for Development, Ascent Training Card, Cloud Service Coupon, 21 Open Lab globally, Talents Cultivation and Development Plan. We will provide training and certification service. We will utilize different resources from universities and other sectors to provide training and certification service to our developers. We will also organize different kinds of developer contests. And for ISV, we will provide ISV application migration support. We also provide FAE development support service. Other events include certification, ISV marketing events, and demonstrative site support, to name just a few. Now, I'm happy to invite representatives from our developers to come up to the stage and join me announcing and launching Huawei Developer Program 2.0. Let's hand in hand and raise your hands when you hear the countdown. Please count down with me. 3, 2, 1. Thank you. We hope our Huawei Developer Program 2.0 will empower more developers and make your life and career more successful. Huawei Developer Program 2.0 means that we will invest $1.5 billion and engage 5 million developers. We need to make wise and effective use of the fund to implement Huawei Developer Program 2.0 so that our developers can dream big and fly high together with us. And also, as part of our Huawei Developer Program 2.0, we will organize another event in March next year, which is dedicated to developers. I look forward to seeing you in Shenzhen in March next year.
all of our speakers for their brilliant speeches, and thank you for joining us this morning.